Hey there, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be looking at Clutch Gaming versus Golden Guardians today. So this was a game that I was hoping Clutch Gaming would win. Just lost my draft spot. But this one left probably Clutch fans feeling pretty desperate and saying, okay, well there is a universe where we have a playoff spot, but the chances of us getting that is extremely low with how the other teams look right now. After the game that I looked at the other day, Clutch versus Liquid, I'm left feeling that NA doesn't really have a whole lot to offer this split. That NA Summer looked like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times better than they look right now. Or at least looking at how TL was playing. But let's go ahead and get into this draft. So Clutch Gaming start with Lissandra. After banning standard bans, other than LeBlanc, I guess LeBlanc is a weird ban, but I know Vergon likes to play LeBlanc. Golden Guardians, standard bans, including the Aurelia. We have a Lissandra opening. Lissandra is really strange because for about 8 patches now, Lissandra has been one of the best blind pick mid laners that League of Legends has to offer. And this has a lot to do with her ability to take wave or lane priority, her ability to provide a lot of utility to the team, and her ability to accelerate the game and be of support with a bunch of damage. And enough CC to not only peel for herself, but to peel for others. And there's not really a lot of lanes that really hurt Lissandra, and most of the lanes that really hurt Lissandra, people don't generally pick. Something like Heimerdinger makes Lissandra really suffer, but nobody really brings that out on a stage like this. And that's when the dogs say hi. And that shouldn't have happened. But I guess we'll move on. Rek'Sai and Karthus to respond. So this Karthus is interesting. I would assume that this Karthus has some kind of threat of flex to top. But I really wouldn't think that's the case. I would think that Karthus immediately is the response to Lissandra, and Golden Guardian wants to hide their draft a little bit. And then Rek'Sai pick just being how he's been priority lately. I don't think that he's as strong as people are prioritizing him as, but he is really annoying, and the reliability of his flash triple auto into eat and how much damage it does with New Conqueror is pretty nice. The only problem is I think that a lot of junglers do the same thing he does better. They just don't bring enough damage to the table. They don't bring the same amount of damage. To the point where Rek'Sai can be put in a composition where most of the composition is scaling, and he is all the early game damage because he doesn't actually need help killing people, or she, or whatever. So good opening by Golden Guardians. I think Karthus is a very strange opening. I think that it's very vulnerable and something that you shouldn't really pick while the enemy team has a whole lot of options still to pick. So Clutch Gaming go ahead and they respond with Nocturne and Alistar. This is fine. They're getting pretty much everything that they want. They're getting priority in a utility pick mid that's really overpowered. They give Lyra Nocturne, which he has consistently performed decent on. And then they've also given Vulcan Alistar. So this is where this draft gets a little bit complicated, and I saw this earlier, but I wanted to get to it. Tom Kench actually negates these two champions from being nearly as strong as they should be. And Tom Kench might have actually been a ban that they would want to consider if this is going to be their draft opening. Because Tom actually, not only is Tom really good against something like Nocturne or even something like Zoe, but Tom is really, really hard to play against when you're Alistar, because it can deny you the engage. and can save a lot of people who are playing against the Lissandra, and Lissandra is able to lock down. So this is a really bad thing for Clutch Gaming. Not only is Tom able to negate any kind of hard engage onto one person, but he also he provides map rotations that otherwise would not be possible without having like Shen and something else, Shen Pantheon, Shen Twisted Fate, something clunky, and that doesn't work too well. So Golden Guardians decide to split bans. They ban Rise, which is I don't think that's a necessary ban. Like yes, it's possible. I don't know. That's strange to me. Then they also ban Callista. Callista's a fine ban. When you see this, and you have this, and if you don't ban Callista, you're inting. Callista is insanely good against Tahm Kench. So that's fine. One of their bans is pretty well defined. I don't think the Rise is actually that important. Clutch Gaming ban Yorick and they ban Aatrox. So like these are both strong things that Cooney's probably worried about in the top lane. Yorick is always something to worry about. Just because he can become a really tough split pusher in the early game, can deny you a whole lot, and then he still becomes a mega tank. And when you see this, Yorick could be a strong possibility. Yorick actually pairs quite well with Rek'Sai, so could get easy leads and easy dives, and therefore give an easy split push that will be unbearably strong in the mid game. Golden Guardians decide to pick their ADC Jinx. So Jinx is insanely good with Tahm Kench. She's not very good with anyone else, just because she's quite vulnerable in the early game. I think that this is a fine pick for Golden Guardians. I think the response for Clutch Gaming is strange, but not strange in the way that I've talked about for a while. I've strange like throughout the rest of the draft, strange in like a really bad way. So this is where Clutch starts to dip into their comfort again. So comfort over, I mean, what's the word I want to use here? Comfort over practicality. Sorry. If you're choosing comfort over practicality, there's like a lack of good atmosphere. And I haven't pointed this out before on Clutch because I didn't think that the getting results was such a dire importance. I thought that Clutch, you know, they can claw their way back in if they really stick to it and they have a regiment. So I haven't been extremely critical on this one idea, but comfort over practicality is not something that should be on an NALCS stage. If this is Academy, like maybe that's something that you would want to think about, or if this was like Challenger Series or a National League, comfort over practicality can mean a whole lot, but practicality here means a whole lot because you're talking about a playoff spot. That would be much easier to secure if they get this win. Because then it allows them to get at least 8 points. It opens up a whole lot of other universes where they get a point. So the Kai'Sa pick here, the reason why this is bad is because not only are you allowing Jinx free scaling, Jinx will actually become more useful before Kai'Sa becomes particularly useful. Kai'Sa is not particularly useful against this champion, or this champion, or this champion. Like, there's other things on the table that are really good for Piglet. His Lucian's up. I mean, you could even pick, if you really wanted to, you could pick Yasuo. And I don't know how good Yasuo is, but you could pick that. You could pick Ezreal. Like, this is not a bad Ezreal game. But I think the Lucian is a really key pick that would be nice here. Because now that you don't have the Callista, you really want something that can punish this lane, or that can sit back while Damonte roams somewhere else. Because if you're aware that Karthus can go is probably going mid, then you're also aware that that Vulcan can help Damonte abuse the Karthus very easily with Alistar, just because he's immobile and very squishy. So this is a really odd and unfortunate series of events where Kai'Sa is the pick that I know Piglet wants, and Kai'Sa is not the pick that Piglet needs. And like, maybe Lucian's not the best pick. I will admit that I need to think about this pick more in order to come to a really good conclusion, but I'm very certain Kai'Sa's not it. And Kai'Sa just doesn't really go with their draft. Like, Kai'Sa's not gonna 1v9 late game with that draft. She doesn't have enough peel. She has a little bit, but like, she's not gonna do it against a Jinx. Jinx is gonna out damage Kai'Sa 10 times out of 10 in most late game team fights. Syndra pick, I like the Syndra pick. I don't like the Syndra pick because I don't like Damonte on Syndra, but putting Damonte on Syndra against Karthus, maybe he can do something right. I want to see him do something right. You know, I want his game to shine. So we are looking at a top side strong side draft here for the Clutch Gaming. And then we're looking at a draft from Golden Guardians where they actually lack a lot of power across the board, but they have this Rek'Sai who can be extremely annoying. And if Rek'Sai can invade Nocturne and go ahead and give a lot of get a lot of pressure on the Nocturne and even pressure lanes, it's not very easy for him to gank Goonie. It's not even really that easy for him to gank Damonte. Actually, yeah, Rek'Sai will probably camp Damonte and then invade Lyra. This would be my game plan if I were Golden Guardians. Just because I know Damonte is not very good at playing in a position where he's unable to get abused, but also because it's the easiest lane for him to gank. It's not very easy for him to get Syndra, and with an Alistar on the board, it's also not very easy for him to go bot. And he doesn't have any tools in the bot lane that actually help him gank, unless Tahm Kench somehow gets some impossible triple auto and then Q stun, which shouldn't happen in any universe. So let's go ahead and get in this game. So Golden Guardians are playing the scaling game with a Rek'Sai. So really this is just neutral objective control. When they play neutral objective control, they're just gonna be looking at rotations when they can get rotations. Karthus can help pick off anyone who didn't die immediately. And then Rek'Sai is allowed to do whatever he wants around the map as long as he's aware of where the enemy is. So, and then this turns into, they can team fight front to back, and this is all front, and then this is back. But Jinx actually provides enough damage at backline where once she has 4 items, it's just insane. There's not going to be any stopping her if you can't get to her, and Tahm Kench is also going to be able to save her from anything like Syndra ult or Nocturnal or combo or Lissandra ult. Like, you need a whole lot of lockdown to get on top of her, and she can be eaten for a long time. Make a lot of time for other damage to be more important. So we're going to see pushing lanes like this. And what that's going to do is allow Lyra to play topside pretty easily. With this lane possibly pushing in towards them. Honestly, like, they can get the push in bottom because they have Alistar, and Tahm Kench like can't really push at all. So Alistar actually provides enough pressure early so that they'll be able to get 3 pushes, but it's not really useful for them to play towards the bot. They're probably going to play towards the top. Not that it matters a whole lot because we're going to be looking at Lyra trying to get as fast of a clear as possible. This is really smart. Okay, so this is smart. So Lyra actually goes from red to top scuttle. And I think that's because he knows I guess he thinks Rek'Sai is gonna be there. Actually, no, yeah, this is the Rek'Sai normal path. I don't know. So anyone who plays a lot of jungle or watches a lot of like high Korean level jungling, you know that the Rek'Sai path is actually red, kill small raptors, and then heal with scuttle. So Lyra knows this, and Lyra says, okay, we're gonna actually pincer on him. And it doesn't really matter if we get Scuttle or not, but we're gonna get first blood for free. And if he gives up his flash and he lives, maybe we won't get first blood, but we will get the Scuttle, and he'll be low, and then he won't be able to clear so easily. And it gives Nocturne a lot of liberty. Either way, Nocturne gets liberty, and now Lyra has the liberty to farm his camps as he pleases. It does appear that Froggen's taking his raptors, which is strange. He's like losing all his mana and half his health, but did he not even get the raptors? Did he take like the small raptors? That's really strange. Like, you shouldn't lose all your health and shit from that. Just gave Damonte the lane. That's probably why Damonte didn't root on him. Damonte was just like, oh, I'll just let you lose CS. Well, I'll sit here and I'll soak experience, and you can lose all your HP and then get forced out of lane. Okay. So contracts went from base to enemy golems. So this is a really bad path by him. Let's see if he gets punished. He's not going to get punished. So what would be really interesting right now is saying, okay, this is how Clutch could be a lot more aggressive. If Kai'Sa was not Kai'Sa, if she was Ezreal and the same situation happened, then Ezreal can actually send under tower really easily. Because they would actually have a little bit more of well, they wouldn't have more push, but they'd have about the same. But they'd have more pressure, just because Ezreal is a lot more damage. Even though he'll have Klepto and Kai'Sa has Breath the Attack, because he's going to continue poking them over the period of time that they're already in bot. That Alistar can actually move up with Nocturne into the enemy jungle, and he can force steal camps. And this is really easy because you actually have push in anyway from Syndra. Because Syndra is on a recent back, and so is Karthus. So Syndra's actually going to go ahead and keep that push, and Syndra can move first. And if Karthus wants to keep the push, then he has to put himself into a dangerous spot. He's going to lose a lot of HP and lose a lot of mana. So Syndra can freely spend like a third of her mana bar, get the push, and then play for the enemy blue buff. And they still have red blue on Nocturne. So if they do encounter contracts, they take his flash for free. And then they might be able to steal 1 or 2 of his camps before the enemy starts to donate resources to try and help Rek'Sai. Because if they don't help Rek'Sai, because they're actually like really bad at helping Rek'Sai. Like these champions are not very good at trying to help in the jungle. If they can't help Rek'Sai, then Rek'Sai's going to lose his camps, and GGS is going to lose all their early game pressure. I just realized I haven't been in full screen the entire time. I usually go full screen when the game starts, but oops. Okay, Lyra's on top side now. He's trying not to get seen, heading towards mid. It looks like Froggen... Maybe Froggen did see him. But if Froggen got hit by a stun right here, he was 100% losing flash. I don't know why Damonte doesn't choose to like try and hit the stun, but if he hits it long range there, like Froggen's 100% flash. This is what I don't like about Damonte. Like, I don't know if this was bad comms, or if this is like Damonte just not performing when he can totally perform. He has the power, but needs to be able to know how to abuse any kind of small errors. So this is more shit that I don't really like from Damonte. All right, so Nocturne clears enemy raptors. So you know that Rek'Sai, like, are they pinging that Rek'Sai is on his golems? Like, that's not real information. You do not know where Rek'Sai is. Like, I understand that what you want is you want vision down here. But it's so clear that Damonte always goes for this same spot of vision. He does it on the top side too. He goes out towards, it's usually dragon side, without actually having any knowledge on the enemy jungler, and then he gets jumped on. Like, this is a behavior that's being punished, and it's been punished all split, and it doesn't fix. And that's why I get frustrated with him. So he loses both of his summoners off of something that is frankly an elementary error. Like, Nocturne's not even on that side of the map. Like, you don't have the push in the bottom side. Like, there's nothing that you can do to get that vision safely. And there's not even really a reason that you might want that vision. Other than to get the dragon, but if Nocturne's on top side, then what are you going to do with the dragon? Like, you're not going to get the dragon. This is interesting. They do win 2v2 when Ornn doesn't have ult here, so... Okay, I red buff steal. This is fine. Okay, that's good. They said we win 2v2, we're gonna take his top jungle, and we're gonna threaten the dive, we're gonna give Huni a lot of pressure. Okay. I like it. GGS responds by moving Rek'Sai towards bot immediately to get the counter invade on the red buff. I don't know if he'll come out with as many resources as Clutch does, because Clutch also got golems. Looks like he will be... He checked raptors, but he didn't go for them. So he's aware that... Actually... Honestly, Rek'Sai could get more here. If Rek'Sai waits here, what he'll do is he'll see if Syndra moves up for blue, and if Syndra moves up for blue, this is a common blue time. Like, they know that Nocturne doesn't have blue yet. They actually know that it recently spawned because you get the little spawn timers on the map. So they say, okay, well, either Nocturne's going to take blue at some later point, or Syndra's going to move towards blue the first chance that she gets. Syndra actually does move towards the blue the first chance that she gets, and at this point, when Nocturne sees that, like she sees that Damonte's hovering the top of the lane, if Froggen is to pressure, like he should be up forward just to get real information. And like I use this term a lot, but real information is just like knowing what the enemy is doing exactly, even if you don't have specific vision. That would lead to these Raptors free. Okay, Froggen's doing Raptors now. That's not bad. Now that he doesn't get like one shot by the Raptors and have to use half his mana for it, it's fine. Solero recently got level 6. Actually kind of a late level 6 for both junglers. Are they really trying to go for this? This is okay. So let's think about this. What you want is you want to. I would think that getting Syndra ahead is the most practical. Like you have a lead on Huni, and you could increase Huni's lead, but really Huni's just going to continue having a lead by laning because he took Kleptomancy. So getting a lead on these two champions is quite dire. And the bot lane's already going fine. Like before this, they hadn't even gotten their first tower plating, I think. The enemy, I mean, Golden Guardians. Okay, they had one tower plating, which is pretty underwhelming for 9 minutes. And I don't think that'll change. I think that'll continue to just be one tower plating. I mean, they might get one more by the 14-minute mark. But spending the resources to, and like what else did they spend here? Okay, so they spend Lyra Flash, they spend Alistar Flash, and they spend the first Nocturnal, which is really late, by the way. Usually you want to try and maximize how often you get to use Nocturnal on bot sums. I think this is like a strange decision, only because I think it's actually a lot easier for you to go mid, get like have Syndra just ult Froggen, and then if Froggen flashes, Lyra can spend his flash and he can still pick up the kill, and then you can just get a bunch of turret plating mid. I don't think that there's actually a whole lot of incentive in taking all of bot sums, unless you plan on going back there, and if you plan on going back there to try and like feed Kai'Sa, I don't know if that's actually going to provide you with the strongest mid game. So like the thing that works with incentives, and like investments, like if you make an investment, when does it pay off and how much does it pay off? So when you invest in a mid-game champion, you get a spike in mid-game, and the spike in mid-game is usually going to be a lot stronger than would it be without investing in that champion. So Kai'Sa is going to reach late game faster, but late game is a lot farther away, so like it's actually better to invest in your mid-game champions. Unless, I mean, like, yes, there's exceptions, but those usually involve like, is that lane suffering in any kind of way? Is it? But like, Kai'Sa was down farm, but Kai'Sa was not down an insane amount of farm, which is why I think that it was okay. That was a good pick. I want to see how they did that. They just walk in the enemy jungle. Do they have any idea where Rek'Sai is? I mean, like, I guess you could assume, but remember, this is not real information. This is assumed information that Rek'Sai will be top because his red buff spawned. If he was there and you had Nocturne nearby with ult, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I guess that's okay. Alright, Nocturne's in red. You should be spending Nocturne ult right now on getting bottom tower, if that's possible. There's a Jinx with no sums and no Tahm Kench. Oh, that didn't happen. They went mid. That's fine. Tahm Kench rotation. Spent 3 ults to kill Karthus. It didn't really pay off though. These guys are in a weird spot. So let's see why they want to do this, because I frankly I like sometimes I just want to know like what a player is thinking when they do something really stupid. So let's go back to like where Clutch actually has a lot of information. Okay, they have a lot of information here. They do not see Rek'Sai. I don't think that they've seen Rek'Sai. So the question is, what is the goal of being here? So they walked from their tri-bush to possibly rotate mid through the river. I do not understand. I do not understand this. This is completely wrong. You should not be here. You don't know where Rek'Sai is. He happens to be in your jungle because they cleared all that vision. Like, that was the point of clearing all that vision. The point of clearing all the vision was so that Rek'Sai could be unseen. So they walk through the dark area. Like, this is all extremely dark. Like, look at the big marker. Like, this is what the game looks like to them right now. I'm glad I made that visual. It felt good. This is what the game looks like right now. Karthus appears in bot. Karthus a volt. They have no idea where Rek'Sai is. They probably think Rek'Sai, like, even if you thought Rek'Sai was at his Raptors, you might have seen him in that pink ward that you have over there. Like, you could assume that Rek'Sai's not at Gromp, but like, why would he? Or you can't just assume, you know that Rek'Sai's not at Gromp, but like, why would he go there anyway? Why would he path through this corridor? There's no reason for him to path through this corridor because there's no Gromp up. And there's no blue up. There's no reason for him to go from base through here. Unless he wants to go directly bot. And there's no reason for him to go directly bot because Bosch pushed in on him. So yeah, no, this is... I have no idea what's going through Piglet's head. Because I'm pretty sure Vulcan would not be the one calling this rotation, or at least not this specific path. So I would think it's Piglet, because I think that I've learned so far that Piglet is very ballsy and tends to do what he wants. Were they expecting the Ornn teleport? Probably not. But does it really matter if Ornn teleports or not? No. So first Blood Tower goes to GGS. Gives them a gold lead. They can retake the gold lead with a Rift Herald. Honestly, like, as soon as this teleport was channeled, Lissandra should have used Rift Herald. He would actually, Huni would get first Blood Tower. That was really sad. Because how are they going to get back top? Did they really want to save Rift Herald for mid tower? Like, you would rather not have the gold lead for mid tower? I mean, I guess that's fair. Like, it's not the worst decision. I would rather make someone really fed than try and like spread gold across the board. Because it just happens to be easier that way most of the time. This is a mess. You know, I don't watch like that much of other regions besides my region, Europe, and China. But when I do look at like tier 3 regions, or not tier, I mean tier 3, I don't really think there's a tier 3 region in here. Tier 2 regions, meaning like regions that get a world spot, but they don't necessarily perform like the whole best they can. Like Vietnam. Vietnam gets a group stages world spot. And, you know, they went 0-6, Fubong Buffalo, but they were there. They get the spot. They were probably better than a couple of the play-in teams. If they had to play like a best of 5 or something. But like I have seen in tier 3 regions better team fighting and better setup than this. This is, I mean, go watch Latin America. Like the upper teams against the upper teams in Latin America it looks a lot nicer than this. I don't know what Clutch is doing here. Like I can see that they want to force a fight. They get the easy advantage in the fight. But they have to commit so hard and like ahead of their lines that they aren't able to actually get out. And they all group up against a wall. Like, are you able to leave in another fashion? I don't think so. I don't think you're actually able to leave in another fashion. This would help if you had a different champion for ADC. Think about how much damage Kais is doing in this fight. I just want to see. And like Kais is on Storm Razor, which is now the first build because you get instant Q upgrade. Kaisa didn't do any damage in this fight. Kaisa's not even in the fight. Piglet didn't even ult in. He didn't ult in on Deathly. If he ults in on the Deathly, like a long time ago, is he allowed to ult in on the Deathly? I don't really remember how that works. If he even has enough damage, like can he, if he Qs Deathly, and Deathly's the only one that gets hit, how much damage is that actually gonna do? Is he able to Q auto W auto and one-shot Deathly? I guess he needs a third auto, because the W is only gonna give 2 stacks, I think. He might be able to, or at least have enough damage so that like somebody can give backup. Because, like, the opening to this fight doesn't seem bad. If they have more, like, sustained damage. The problem is, like, they don't have sustained damage. They only have burst, and they were only able to burst one target. And if they're able to burst another target, the fight's a little bit different. But it's really hard for them to get on another target because of Tahm Kench. So they end up saying, okay, we have to peel off. And Vulcan gets taken down because they peeled. GGS decides to start the dragon. They spend a lot of resources on Ole, who doesn't die. This just looks so bad for Clutch. And I'm trying to imagine this with not Kaisa. I'm trying to imagine this with like any other ADC. Like even Vayne would be doing more damage right now. Probably be scarier. Maybe not. Maybe not Vayne. But she might. She would do more damage to Tahm Kench, that's for sure. To have Ginsu's. Ezreal would be a monster right now. He would constantly be poking. 1Q and definitely would do 20% of his HP. This is such a close game, which is why it's actually really hard for me to get really into what else Clutch can be doing, because they stunted themselves a little bit in draft, and when they make this decision, they say, okay, we are going to fight. We're going to fight 5v5. And what we want to do is we want to get a good enough lead to get that Mountain Dragon, because Mountain Dragon is extremely high priority. Okay? So you get Mountain Dragon, that gives you Baron pressure, and it also gives you split push pressure. Not that you're going to utilize split push pressure, but the Baron pressure you can utilize very easily. So we have to spend all of our resources as best as we can to try and get this dragon. And the original fight didn't actually go 100% as planned. It would have been a little bit different if Kaisa at this point... Where is Kaisa? If Kaisa at this point is able to ult to like one of these two targets, and they can converge onto onto Jinx, or if Kai'Sa's able to ult here and they're able to kill Froggen really fast, Amante actually moves to the right and they kill Froggen. So, but like either way, they need to do something. And if they do kill Froggen, they actually have to leave the choke point, because if you kill Froggen and you're here, Froggen's going to be putting Qs out and everything, and this is AoE damage, and they're gonna close you in here, but you will be 4v3. You just won't have you won't have this or really any, you won't have any ults. You will have a lot of flashes, so you will be able to force some stuff. You will have 2 heals. So you definitely have the upper hand even if you were to kill Froggen, because Froggen's damage is actually not that high. And that might be able to force you onto getting a dragon and possibly picking up 1 more kill, since the damage output from the enemy team without contracts is really low. But when CG fails to make either of those decisions, and they say, okay, well, we don't want to commit too hard, or we could mess up, that's when their actual mistake becomes, that they didn't commit hard enough and they messed up by trying to leave, or really if they wanted to just get 1 pick, then they probably shouldn't do it like in the middle of a choke point in the middle of 5 enemy champions. Like, you just can't do that. I'm sorry for the really long I went through a lot of different thought processes there. I'm just trying to get an idea of like what's going through Clutch Gaming's head and how they can repair this. Because if they're not able to repair this, then we're not going to see them win next week. So GGS is 1,000 gold ahead and 3 dragons up at 18 minutes with the late game scaling comp. And the dragon part doesn't really surprise me because they picked Kai'Sa and Piglet, and Kai'Sa just doesn't have any pressure on dragons. Even if you go ahead and take that press the attack garbage, I don't think that I don't think that picking that champion is very good if you want to have dragon pressure. Looks to me like they're searching for picks like normal. If Clutch isn't able to get some kind of significant lead within 5 minutes, the game will be lost. This is not helping. These 1-for-1 trades are good for the late game team. Like n over n plus 1, where it's a closed, it's a finite horizon. That would be the proper terminology. N over n plus 1 with finite horizon. N plus 1 is GGS because they have such a small lead that it's comparable to Clutch Gaming, which is going to be on top. You both give them 1, so you increment both by 1 as if it was a series, but it's finite horizon, so eventually they're going to reach infinity over infinity, which is 1, and 1 is going to be time t, capital T. And that's going to mean that it's the end of the game, like it's 6 items. There is no more evolution, and when there is no more evolution, then what that's going to mean is saying, okay, well, whoever has the better late game is going to win, and that's the easy way to put it. There's a whole lot of ways to see like how different compositions can win late game team fights and how they work with each other, but it's the CG team fight late game looks really hard to pull off. At least if this was not Tahm Kench, it probably wouldn't look that hard to pull off. But it looked extremely hard to pull off, seeing that the enemy team is a Tahm Kench. Anyway, on the play that just happened, CG seems to perform this fine. CG says that we like this dragon, but we're not going to get it. They push GGS out of the river because GGS doesn't want to fight and end up losing the lead that they may have gotten. And then CG goes mid and they say, okay, we're gonna take mid inner, which is really nice. It would be nicer if they're able to get any of these outer towers, because they really need to increment their gold lead and accelerate the game for themselves. Why does Demonte have a 6 stack Magi's? I mean, like, at this point in the game, I guess you can't really criticize. If he dies, they're basically they lose. If he gets 4 more kills, like, he could carry the game. So CG can't really send someone to like do a dedicated split, 'cause it's really hard for them to. Wow. Because it's really hard for them to pull that off when there's a Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench can make it like pretty much impossible. Hold on, let's look at this a little bit slower. This looks really bad. Okay, we're in 0.75. So Huni on top of Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai actually half healthing him. And there goes Huni with his ultimate and everything. Orin gets a 2-man knock up. Piglet's doing literally 0 damage to Froggen. Nocturne's actually dead from that. That's Baron. That's game. That is really unfortunate. So I can see what Clutch is going for here. Let's admire the fact that this was not a bad idea. Clutch said, we are going to flank, and we are going to get on top of the enemy AD carry, and we're going to try and one-shot her. The problem is, when Ole eats deathly and flashes out, the first thing Huni should have done is ult contracts. If Huni presses R right here and they one-shot contracts without using Damonte's ult, they have a lot of freedom. There is a lot of freedom for Clutch Gaming. But when Huni dies with ult, and he could have ulted himself. He saw this coming. He knew that he was going to have 1 HP. And I can see why he didn't ult, because he probably thought that the Rek'Sai ult wouldn't kill him. And the Lissandra heal is 0.3 plus like 100 times like, I don't know, times 0.01 M being like percentage missing health. So I'm not really sure. I think he just wanted a really big heal in his ultimate, but if he had responded with ult there when Rek'Sai ulted him, it would have done the same thing. But it would be really late because then they're also in a bad position. But if they kill contracts now and they actually move back, they have freedom to take vision control of an area. Or even if GGS decide to fight without contracts, where contracts is really just a lot of their burst damage, CG can try and peel it. But yeah, that's tough. If Huni dies here, and because Huni dies, the rest of them die, and that's free Baron and that's free game. So that is going to be. I mean, if you're looking at a Baron power play, like they're losing their 3 inner turrets. But even without anything happening, let's go ahead. We can go back to 2 times, or 1.5 is fine. Without even anything happening, GGS is now 4,000 gold ahead, a good 10%. They've pushed in 3 lanes. They have Orin splitting bot. They get a pick on Huni, or they almost do. That leads to mid tower. They're going to have top tower. They could rotate on top tower. But I think that I believe that GGS thinks that they're going to go ahead and use as much of their Baron buff as they can to get mid tower. So they will be not taking top tower. And that's more important. If they get these 2 inhibitors, it's worth a lot more than getting the Baron. It's worth a lot more for when the next Baron, if there happens to be a next Baron, whereas the top inhibitor is not going to do a whole lot. CG can push it out. Not that they have a whole lot of good pushing tools against super minions. Lear is trying to desperately farm. He still needs tier 2 boots, which I don't even know what he would buy. I guess he would buy Nijitabi. CG should be looking for any time that these guys separate from Tahm Kench. Whoever's separate from Tahm Kench, you might want to try and kill. That was good. So as I was saying, like whoever's separate from Tahm Kench, you want to try and kill. So Piglet actually sees Haunser separate from Tahm Kench. He's actually the only person who's like far enough away from Tahm Kench that Tahm Kench cannot do anything about it, only because of the wall. So they say, okay, we're gonna lose mid tower anyway. Let's go ahead and try and get Ornn really low. And if we get Ornn really low and we can pick him off, then we have a whole lot more pressure in the fight. Rek'Sai tries to go in really far, and the only thing that they end up losing is Vulcan. So they end up stopping the push, only losing one inhibitor, which could be a lot worse. But they still just lost four turrets. So they are looking at a 6,000 gold deficit, which is well above 10%, and well more than enough to finish the game. So GGS will probably just send Ornn to keep the push mid, and then they'll probably go ahead and take this top tower. It should be free. And once they have this top tower, they'll have complete control of the topside jungle. And then they'll probably play pretty safely because they have the late game scaling. They don't actually have an incentive to end the game like immediately. They'll probably just take this top tower, get vision control, locks Clutch Gaming off of Baron, and then get Baron for free, and then reset 4-1 while the bottom inhibitor's still down. Try and get triple inhib and then suffocate. And that seems like the easiest dominant strategy that GGS has. So there goes top tower. If CG isn't on the rotation, they get another top tower for free. This is a mistake by CG. What is CG doing? I think CG thinks that they're... I don't know what CG thinks. I really don't know what CG is doing, to be honest. I don't know. Like, are they trying to bait with Huni and see if GGS goes on Huni with less than 5 people, and then try and respond with a team fight that could possibly give them the next Baron? Like, I'm just trying to rationalize like what they could be thinking. They only ended up losing their last tower, not non-Nexus tower, which doesn't really change a whole lot, but because the situation was already so grave. Looks like they're gonna let super minions hit on their base until GGS decides to make this Baron call. Okay, here's the Baron call. Clutch Gaming are looking to try and go for a Hail Mary play. GGS doesn't want to give them a Hail Mary play. They don't want to take a 50-50 Baron. They don't want anything to do with that. Clutch Gaming is going to use Teleport on Lissandra. They're going to go ahead and get in here. They fucked it up. Fucked up the play. Not like Clutch Gaming had a whole large chance to like get something done here. But what they wanted was like a strong enough engage to try and win a fight and not get insta-popped like that. It's unfortunate. That might be end of the game since Biglet just ended. Okay, so GGS, they aren't really gonna mess around with Dragon number 6 because it's probably not. I mean, it's not important. There's the free Baron. We're gonna push bot. Other lanes push. CG, do you have a Hail Mary play in you? Monte with 12 stacks has not died yet. Sad part is Demonte does a lot of damage, but there wasn't really a whole lot of investment in him earlier, and if there was, like, he might actually do a lot more damage. This was like an extremely hard game. that I have some serious disagreements with how the strategy should have been set up, along with the draft and how it kind of contradicts itself. Because like you don't want to play a scaling game against Jinx. Like there's a few champions you really don't want to play a scaling game against. It's like Jinx and Kog'Maw and Vayne. You don't want to mess with them. And if one team has Jinx and one team has Vayne, then it really just comes down to the other resources. And like the team with Tahm Kench will usually win just because Tahm Kench is so strong. So I think that seeing all of this and then picking this is just strange and bad strange. I think that they didn't like press where they could have. I think they could have utilized the Rift Herald to get more gold and get a better lead on Huni, who was not doing bad at the time. I think they could have spent more of their resources getting Syndra further ahead. Like if you're gonna pick Syndra, you have to play for her. And if you get Syndra more ahead, then she'll be a lot more useful. Like at this point where we're looking right now, Syndra would already have Zhonya's. Maybe, I don't know, if he actually did get like 25 Magi stacks, like this would be a whole different game. Like he would be like half healthing, he'd be half healthing Ornn in one combo. His ult, like he would just press R on someone and they would die. Like that would be insane. But there's a whole lot of issues in this game, and Clutch Gaming are not giving me faith in winning their next week, or even winning one game next week. It's C9 and TSM. That's tough. That's really tough. Well, thank you for watching. I will be back on Monday, and I hope that we're able to see a little bit more on Clutch, and I want to see just like a little bit of improvement out of these guys since the beginning of the split, but I really don't see a whole lot of improvement. There is some improvement. Basic fundamentals have improved, but since the beginning of the split, they've yet to understand what their best, what works best for them in terms of style, and are like, I mean, they've used it in a couple games, but they haven't realized that like maybe that's what they should keep doing, and they should have played for more points. But they also just like lack a lot of errors, and they let players have a lot of authority in making, or mostly Piglet, like have a lot of authority in making decisions that he shouldn't be making, that are probably being made without all the proper information. And like maybe the language barrier between him and Devontae and Vulcan is big, but I feel like Piglet's been in North America long enough where if he doesn't understand like English, like then I think Piglet might be a problem player. And I think that's really bold of me to say. That I don't think I should be saying something like that. Well, thank you for watching. Let's hope that Clutch Gaming can pull out a win next week, and have a good night.